Something fundamental is shifting across the globe. We're seeing a major change in where real power lies. And it's not about oil or armies or even data anymore. It's about silicon. And really, it's about one single company that has become the gatekeeper to the entire future of artificial intelligence. So today, we're going to break down exactly how this happened. That company, of course, is NVIDIA. And this number, 92%. That is their unbelievable grip on the market for discrete GPUs, those powerful standalone chips that are the real engines behind the whole AI revolution. We're talking a near total monopoly on the hardware that powers modern innovation. It's just staggering. And that kind of dominance, well, it comes with a pretty big number attached to it. NVIDIA is the first company ever to hit and stay above a $5 trillion market cap. To give you some perspective, that's more than the entire economy of most countries on this planet. So this brings us to the big question, right? How on earth did a company that was famous for making video games look incredible become the absolute gatekeeper for humanity's next giant leap? Let's dig into the strategy. To really get NVIDIA's power, you have to understand the fortress they've built around their business. It's an amazing story, really. It's about a relentless pace of innovation, absolutely brilliant software strategy, and completely rethinking what computing even is. At the core of their strategy is this insane pace, what they call an annual cadence. So while their competitors spend years just trying to catch up to one of their chips, NVIDIA is already rolling out the next big thing. From the H100 that powered the whole ChatGPT explosion to the new B200 Blackwell chips that are already sold out for years, all the way to what's coming next in 2026, the Rubin platform. It's a cycle that keeps everyone else constantly playing catch up. But here's the thing, the silicon is only half the story. The other, and maybe even more important half, is CUDA. That's their software ecosystem. The best way to think about it is this. NVIDIA didn't just sell pickaxes during the AI gold rush. They built the entire railroad system, the stations, the signals, everything. And now every single train runs on their tracks. After 15 years, pretty much every important AI model and a whole generation of developers grew up on CUDA. Trying to switch now? It's not just a technical challenge. It's like asking an entire civilization to forget its language and learn a new one overnight. And this right here, this shows you their secret sauce. For decades, we all relied on Moore's law, the idea that CPUs would just keep getting faster. That slowed to a crawl. NVIDIA, on the other hand, is playing a totally different game. They're not just making a faster chip, they are designing the entire system. The chip, the networking that connects them, the software, the algorithms, all at the same time. This creates this incredible compounding effect that lets their AI performance pretty much double every single year. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Their CEO, Jensen Huang, says it right out loud. Their job isn't to sell parts. Their job is to create the entire foundation, the whole digital factory, so that everyone else can come and build amazing things on top of it. It's a strategy that's built a moat so deep and wide, it's basically become the global standard. Okay, but all this digital dominance slams right into a hard physical wall. You actually have to build these incredible things. And the supply chain to make these chips is one of the most complicated, fragile systems on the planet. It's so critical that people are starting to call silicon the new geopolitical oil. There are three huge bottlenecks. First, there's only one company on Earth, TSMC, that can actually make these unbelievably complex chips. Second, you need this special advanced packaging tech called CoWoS. And guess what? Only TSMC can do that at the scale NVIDIA needs. And to top it all off, the chips need a special type of memory, HBM, and there's a massive global shortage, with prices doubling in just the last year. And this is where NVIDIA's strategy gets ruthless. They've used their power to basically lock up the entire supply chain. Looking ahead to 2026, they've already secured about 60% of TSMC's entire global capacity for that crucial CoWoS packaging. That means all of their competitors, AMD, Intel, everyone, are left to fight over the remaining 40%. And the result of all this? A permanent state of scarcity. The latest Blackwell chips? Completely sold out through the end of 2026. If you place an order now, you might not see it until 2027. We even heard that early production runs were failing because the chips got so hot that different materials were expanding at different rates and literally warping the chip. The entire AI industry now lives and breathes by this hardware shortage. So you've got demand that is off the charts and a supply that is severely limited. You know what that means, right? The prices are just astronomical. Let's take a look at what it actually cost to build this AI revolution. So the A100, which was the go-to chip just a few years ago, was about $15,000. Then its successor, the H100, jumped to as high as $40,000. And today, with the flagship GB200, you can't even buy one chip. It comes in a full server rack that costs over $3 million. And get this, it gets even worse for buyers because the pricing is totally secret. NVIDIA doesn't publish a price list. The price you pay depends on who you are, how many you're buying. It gives them this immense power to set the price at whatever they want. This situation has created a totally new type of customer. Entire countries. Nations like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and countries all over Europe are now buying thousands of these GPUs to build what they're calling sovereign AI. They see this compute power as a strategic national resource, like a power grid or an army. And frankly, they're buying it no matter what the cost, which just drive demand even higher. So with this kind of dominance, this level of scarcity, and these crazy costs, there's an obvious question that comes up. Can anyone even compete with this? Well, the hunt for an alternative to NVIDIA is officially on, and we are starting to see the very first cracks in the empire. Now, competitors aren't trying to take NVIDIA on head-to-head. They're being smarter. They're targeting specific weak spots. AMD, for example, is all about raw memory capacity, making chips that can hold gigantic AI models. Google's custom chips, their TPUs, are designed for crazy power efficiency, using just a third of the power of a B200. They're all picking their battles. And remember that software moat, CUDA? Well, this data here suggests it might not be as unbreakable as it looks. Job postings for developers who know Google's alternative, JAX, grew by 340% last year. CUDA jobs, just 12%. The talent pool is a huge indicator of where things are heading, and it looks like it's starting to shift. But the biggest long-term threat might be coming from inside the house. NVIDIA's largest customers. We're talking Google, Amazon, Meta. They're just tired of being so dependent on one supplier. So what are they doing? They're designing and building their own custom AI chips. When your biggest customers turn into your biggest competitors, you've got a real problem coming. But you don't build a $5 trillion company by standing still. NVIDIA sees this all happening. They're not panicking, they're just moving the goalposts. They're already aiming to dominate the next wave of AI, one that goes way beyond language models like ChatGPT. So what's NVIDIA's next big play? It's physical AI. Their goal now is to become the operating system for the physical world. They are building everything from the simulation software to the chips themselves to power robotics, self-driving cars, and digital copies of entire factories. They want to be the platform for what they're calling the robot age. And for now, the market totally believes they can pull it off. I mean, just listen to what Elon Musk had to say about their next generation Rubin platform. He said it will remind the world that NVIDIA is still the gold standard. And that's coming from a guy who's both a major customer and a competitor. It shows the grip on the future is still incredibly strong. So all of this, it brings us to one final really big question. We've seen how one company built this unbelievable empire of silicon and software, creating shortages and costs that are reshaping the entire global economy. As AI gets deeper and deeper into every part of our lives, science, business, government, it leaves us with a pretty profound thought to chew on. In a world that's going to be run on AI, who should be the one to control the switch?